Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The 2025 NBA draft is set to begin on Wednesday night. Ahead of the draft, there have already been a few big-time trades made around the league. Could the Miami Heat and Golden State Warriors look to make a trade of their own? Before Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets, the Heat were hoping to be able to acquire him from the Phoenix Suns. That fell through and left Pat Riley and company searching for another option. That option could come in the form of Warriors' young wing Jonathan Kuminga. With just hours remaining until the start of the NBA draft, the two teams have been linked as possible trade partners. According to a report from Anthony Slater of The Athletic, Miami has a legitimate interest in a trade for Kuminga with Golden State. It's something to watch as the draft draws closer. The Kevin Durant trade might have helped. The Miami Heat missed out on Durant and have legitimate Kuminga interest, per league sources, among others expected to explore the idea as the market materializes, Slater wrote. The Brooklyn Nets loom as a possible offer sheet team, but did use a chunk of their cap space in a Tuesday night trade. Not long ago, Kuminga spoke out about his future. He simply wants to play for a team that values him and believes in him. Wherever I go, wherever I'll be off the rip, I just want them to be like, oh yeah, he deserved what he got. He deserved to be here. He worked hard for it. Wherever it is, that's what I wanted to feel like, Kuminga said, as shared by Slater. I want to be great. I feel like I'm capable of being that, capable of doing some special things, and I won't just let it go like that. The only way to get there is just to lock in every single day. Kuminga is coming off a solid season with the Warriors. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
With Jonathan Kuminga during his off-season workouts. We've been seeing a couple of videos here and there. Just a couple of photos. Kuminga himself did a little bit of a photo dump on Instagram. He was working out with AJ DeBansa a couple of weeks ago, and he continues to get this off-season work in like we see each summer. And he's working on his game. He's working on the jump shots. He's trying to become the player that he thinks he can be, and that is a multi-time All-Star, according to Jonathan Kuminga himself. Here's what he had to say to Slater. He said, "Things take time, but I feel like I'm at the point where that has to be my priority," talking about being an all-star, "to just be one of the guys the team relies on, aiming to be an all-star multiple times, aiming to be great, wherever I'm going to be at. It doesn't matter if it's the Warriors. It doesn't matter if it's anywhere else. It's something I want. It's something I want to see. I want to see what I can do. I know I can get it. I really want to see. I've never got that chance." And look, I can agree with Kuminga a little bit to this point. I've had my fair share of words that I've said about him over the past few months, the entire NBA season for the most part, but I can call a spade when I see it. It is a true statement that Jonathan Kuminga has yet to become a focal point or receive the focal point responsibility of the Golden State Warriors offense. He came into this league as a very raw player, somebody with uber athleticism and a lot of untapped potential, and a lot of people around the league believe that he can be a very highly, contributive player, like somebody who could put up a bunch of numbers and potentially lead a team and be that type of all-star. But in Golden State, I'm just not so sure that's the case. Like, there's a reason that he has not been the focal point to this point in his career. And it's not just because of the numbers that you see on screen. It's because the Warriors have a first-ballot Hall of Famer, a top 10 player in NBA history on the roster right now. They also have a crazy four-time veteran leader in Draymond Green. They also have a big-time superstar who's making $55 million a year in Jimmy Butler. Like, Jonathan Kuminga just really isn't any room for him to be the focal point of an offense when you have legitimately 3 Hall of Famers surrounding you. Couple that with the ability that Kuminga has not yet gained in the outside shot, which kind of makes him unplayable in a lot of scenarios. And you see over the past few seasons, he's been regressing in that area when he has said in the off seasons that he's been working on it. So, like, it makes a lot of sense that Kuminga hasn't seen that responsibility yet because he really has not shown that he could do it over a long stretch. More from JK here about his role. He says, "I've done it here and there," and yeah, he has. Remember that stretch, in December this past season where he's putting up a couple of 30-point outings and whatnot, but it was never a consistent role. A consistent role given to me. It only happens 5 games on, 10 games off. I want it to be a consistent role because I know what I got. I know what I could bring. I know how much work I put in. I know I'm dedicated to this game, how much I love this game. Look, what cannot be questioned is Kuminga's work ethic and his want to be that type of player. But for 99.999999999999999% of this world, they're not going to be an NBA All-Star. So it's okay to have that self-awareness and to potentially be a complimentary player. There's complimentary players in this league making $30 to $40 million a year. Look at OG Anunoby. Look at Aaron Gordon, Derek White. All these guys make $30 to $40 million. That's an awesome life to have, and none of them are ever going to be All-Stars. If Kuminga just committed to that and played into his strengths as a player within the Warriors' flow of their offense, then he could be great. He could be that complimentary player and really help Golden State elevate their title chances these next couple of seasons. But it just doesn't seem like he wants to kind of play into that role right now. He doesn't want to be off of the ball, rim running, back cutting, all this different stuff. He wants the ball in his hands, and he wants to go make plays with it. But I'm not so sure that's going to be happening in Golden State. I think he can be a good player. I think he can go put up those empty stats in a lot of different places, but in a well-oiled organization like Golden State with championship aspirations on a limited window over the next few seasons, I just don't think that Kuminga it really fits that timeline and fits that system with what he wants in his career at this point. But you tell me. I know we got a lot of Kuminga fans in the comment sections. Does JK deserve to be a go-to option for the Golden State Warriors? Do you guys think we should give him the keys? He should be the number 2 next to Steph. Jimmy should even take a back seat offensively? You let me know in the comment section. Yes or no? Does Kuminga deserve to be the go-to option for Golden State on offense? Look, I say no personally, and I don't think the Warriors think so either. We've heard from multiple sources that, yes, the Warriors may bring back Jonathan Kuminga on a contract extension this offseason, but temper the expectations of him being here long-term because there aren't a lot of people in the Warriors front office or whole entire organization, even the JK fans, that believe that he can be that torch carrier into the next era of Warriors basketball and lead this team to playoff runs and potentially title contention. There's not a lot of people in the organization that believe that that can be the case. So they're going to explore sign and trade options for Kuminga this offseason in order to improve the roster and give Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond another shot at a title. We know they've been exploring a sign and trade to this point in the offseason, but it's kind of been teetering back and forth. We get it's likely that he re-signs. Now the Warriors are taking calls. These teams are interested. All this different stuff is going on. We won't actually know until a real market materializes and the Warriors extend the qualifying offer and all that stuff to Kuminga, who's a restricted free agent, but we do know that they are exploring sign and trade options. And Slater had this bombshell as well. Kuminga's talent and the handcuffs of both the CBA and restricted free agency complicate the situation. Given the limitations, will the Warriors front office decision makers, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, and Kirk Lacob, find a possible enough sign and trade package in order to part with Kuminga? Or will the two sides have to find the right contract number in order to reconvene for a 5th season of a partnership that has fit issues and scar tissue? The Kevin Durant trade might have helped. The Miami Heat missed out on Durant and have legitimate Kuminga interest per league sources, among others who are expected to explore the idea once the market materializes. The Brooklyn Nets loom as a possible offer sheet team, but they did use a good chunk of their salary cap space in a Tuesday night trade where they acquired Terrence Mann and a first-round pick to participate in the Kristaps Porzingis 3-team deal. And here we go. To quote the great Heath Ledger in 2008's The Dark Knight, things are going to start heating up right now. The dominoes are starting to fall. And now that we're at the NBA draft, I don't think Kuminga was ever going to be traded for this year's draft capital either way, but I don't think that the trade can be completed or even agreed to before Kuminga actually signs that restricted or agrees, or the Warriors extend the qualifying offer to him when that all comes around. So the Heat, they're in a unique situation right now where they missed out on Durant, they got Bam Adebayo, they got Tyler Hero, multiple all-star level players in a wide open Eastern Conference. So it makes sense for them to pursue another young talent that they really lack right now on the wing. We'll talk about the Heat and their trade prospects in just a moment. But make sure you guys get hooked up with this awesome deal for the 4th of July that's coming up. This link right here will get you hooked up with this fresh tee. Chatsports.com/Dubs4th. Go get yourself some USA Golden State Warriors gear today. If you're cooking out, grilling some dogs out there on the 4th, you can be rocking this Golden State Warriors shirt. Chop it up about Steph and the championship aspirations we have over the next couple of seasons. So go down below and get yours today at this link that's in the comment section and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/Dubs4th. Okay, Barry Jackson, probably the biggest Miami Heat insider on the planet right now, says the following. Because we did hear about the Heat, not exactly being in the Kuminga mix as of Sunday, but then we just heard from Slater that they have legitimate interest. And Barry Jackson also said that the Heat have been, quote, active in the trade market this week in the wake of not landing Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. And we had heard previously that Kuminga was viewed as a potential fallback option in the event that a Durant trade did not go down to Miami. So let's look at the Miami Heat and what could possibly go down as far as a Kuminga package coming back. In a one-for-one deal, it would have to include some sort of combo of these couple of players, because what we know about Kuminga's restricted free agency is if a sign and trade is agreed upon, then Golden State can only take back half of the first year's salary that he'll be making on his new team. So say it's a $25 million contract, well, Golden State can only take back $12.5 million. So that would be like a deal where, Jaime Jaquez and Haywood Highsmith come back in the deal, or maybe you figure out a way to get Jaquez and Kyle Anderson in the same package. Or could you find a way to get Nikola Jovic off the Miami Heat's hands? They were not willing to part with him for Kevin Durant, so I'd pump the brakes on them being willing to trade him for a Jonathan Kuminga signing. So look, the Heat assets are not all that great, to be quite honest with you. I think some other teams out there that could have some JK interest have better options for Golden State to have a one-for-one trade. So in this scenario, if the Heat really, really want him, then I would assume that the Dubs would try to involve a third team in this trade. And that could go a lot of different ways. Like, there's teams that want to cut some salary cap space. There's teams that want to or are able to absorb expiring contracts and big chunks in on their books. So we'll see what it ends up looking like if anything materializes in a Kuminga sign and trade. But I wanted to present this offer for you guys that I came across on the interwebs. Shout out Fanspo. If you guys ever want to use Trade Machine, go to Fanspo. They have a great system to go out there and do it. And it's a 3-team deal and kind of a quasi-Warriors offseason plan as well, where Golden State ends up getting Andrew Wiggins back from the Miami Heat. The Heat would get Grayson Allen from the Phoenix Suns, who participate in this trade, who receive Moses Moody and Kevin Love. And then Kuminga will sign a $22 million a year contract with the Miami Heat, and they will re-sign Davion Mitchell. The Golden State Warriors will also bring back both Gary Payton and Kevon Looney, as well as familiar face DeAnthony Melton, who suffered a torn ACL back in November. So look, as far as the Warriors offseason plan goes, where they're not essentially super able to go out there and get superstar caliber contracts on the roster, I think this is about as good as it can get when you have both Jimmy Butler and both Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins on the same team at once. I would like this trade personally, but who knows? Maybe you guys don't. Let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comment section. Would you guys accept this? A for accept, D for decline. Remember, though, the Bulls still have interest, so this could end up being a little bit of a quasi-bidding war in a way. The finances have to work out. Maybe some picks get thrown around, some second-round picks end up sweetening the deal for one of these two teams. But as far as Chicago goes, I like their trade assets a little bit better. You got a guy like Kobe White, Vucevic, who I'm not super keen on, but I know the Warriors had some interest at least at the deadline. You got Ayo Dosunmu, who's over there. Lonzo Ball, Jalen Smith, some more manageable contracts over there that I would be seeing as a better fit in Golden State, or at least somebody who can contribute more right away than maybe some of the guys on the Heat could, especially offensively. So we have to look at what goes on with Kuminga and his trade interest over the next couple of weeks. But get creative in the comment section before we get out of today's show. Drop a Kuminga sign and trade idea down in the comment section, whether it's with the Heat, whether it's with the Bulls. Hold the 41st overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. And last year, they went and got a pretty instant contributor in year one in Quentin Post. Can they make that happen again this year in 2025? On today's show, we're going to go through 5 round 2 draft targets for your Golden State Warriors that I think should be available at pick 41, but the NBA draft is very fluid. You never know. That's why we're giving you 5 names. And if you want to draft another player like Quentin Post, another round 2 steal who's going to contribute for Golden State in the short term, go down below and like the video, manifest it, send the good vibes over to the Bay Area so we can get another contributor for the Dubs next season. Let's hop into this. Kobe Bryant, a name that I know Warriors fans are going to be licking their chops for, as he's a knockdown shooter, man. This is a 44% three-point shooter, 6'5" 3/4. But honestly, man, I think he's gotten closer to 6'6", 6'7" at this point. He's an older player, played a lot of his time with the Dayton Flyers. But, man, last year in Kentucky, averaged 12 points a game, shot 45%. I was even underselling him from three-point range. That is 43.5%. I'm a clown. But regardless, Kobe Bryant is a movement shooter. He has the frame to actually project as a pretty solid defender at the next level as well. So this is a guy who I'm looking at here for Golden State. And if he's there at 41, especially when you can play him on the wing, then I'm all over this pick for the Dubs. I mean, Bryant, he does a limited range. Like, I've seen this guy pull for 35 feet before on multiple occasions. So, like, this is a good, solid selection for Golden State. Now, he's a role player at heart. Like, he's not going to be taking over. He's not going to carry the torch for the Warriors in the next era of basketball. But at the end of the day, that's not what they need right now. They need complementary players. He's not a good defender, but I think he has the potential to grow on defense. And over the past 4 seasons, he's gotten better with every single stop that he's been in. Yeah, his freshman year at Dayton, he took a little bit of a sophomore slump there in year 2. But then, is his junior season where he's shooting 50% from three-point range? 50%. And that's not on a low volume. That's on 6.1 attempts a game. That's near the top of college basketball. Similar numbers this year in Kentucky. And while playing better defenses and going up a level, Kobe Brea absolutely showed out. This would be a home run pick for the Warriors if they end up going this route. So I'm all over a Kobe Brea selection here. How about we move on to the second guy that we have on our Warriors round 2 targets list, and that would be Sion James, a name that we've talked about here on the channel before. And this is a guy who I think can fill a lot of different roles for Golden State. An elite on-ball defender. He can stick on guys like no other. Also, he can bring the ball up as well and be an initiator. He held that role a little bit in the Duke Blue Devils this past year. You had Tyrese Proctor, you had Cooper Flagg initiating, but you also had Sion James, the transfer from Tulane. And the numbers aren't going to jump off of the page for you, but he also was a 40% three-point shooter last year. If the Warriors want a little bit more of a combo of size and defensive versatility, yeah, he's only 6'4", but he already projects as a much better defender than a guy like Kobe Brea. The scouting report that we have on him says that he has grown as a shooter after a pretty rough start to his college career. He also improved as a defensive prospect with the traits to translate and thrive in the NBA, but he still hasn't shown much ability as a creator. I know that's a thing that Golden State is probably lacking on their roster right now, but as far as picking talent in the second round, I feel like you're going for specialists in this area, and all the good shot creators are going to be taken within the first 30 picks of this draft. Sion James, I'm in on him. He's a versatile defensive prospect, and look, the numbers aren't going to jump off the screen for him either, but I think he's going to be a player who's going to have a long NBA career. I don't really understand why he's slipped all the way into round 2. Is it the size profile? Is it the age? I'm not so sure, but I think that he projects as a really, really solid NBA player, and I think that he could jump into the Golden State lineup right away next season. If you play him next to a Steph, if you play him next to a Pods, if you play him even kind of on the wing in a way too. He can defend 2s and 3s in this league. I am confident in him doing so. So Sion James, if you're a Warrior, I'll be ecstatic as well. Let's move on to our third selection here with Chaz Lanier, Tennessee, another sharpshooter on this list. And it's all good because Lanier is actually your typical sharpshooter. And he can create a little bit more for himself than Kobe Brea can, but we saw in the NCAA tournament when things got really tight and the Tennessee played the Houston Cougars in the Elite Eight, Chaz could not get anything. He was being stuck on by elite on-ball defenders, but he really wasn't able to get much of his own off of the bounce. Chaz, as a three-point shooter, though, he can absolutely play. He's not necessarily the biggest prospect out there. He's only 6'3", without shoes on, so he's going to be about a 6'4", maybe 6'5"-ish player. But he's a true two-guard in this league. He's got a 39-inch vertical, so he can absolutely jump out of the gym. He had 4 years at a mid-major North Florida before transferring to Tennessee last year. And he put up big-time numbers for the Volunteers. 18 points per game, 40% from three-point range. Not exactly a distributor or playmaker by any means, but you're getting Chaz Lanier, you're getting a shooter. Elite three-point shooter. He shot 44% in 23-24. And then in the SEC play last year, he shot 40% again. He was in the 98th percentile in three-point shots made overall last year. He had 15 games where he made 4 or more threes. He also projects somebody who could be a secondary ball handler a little bit. Not going to be, somebody who necessarily is making plays for others or is initiating Golden State's, style of offense. But he can put the ball on the deck if he comes off of a little bit of a dribble handoff and get to the rim. He's capable there. He just doesn't really get to the rim all that often. He's more of a guy who will settle for that mid-range jumper in the 10 to 14-foot range rather than actually attacking the basket at a really high rate. A player comp that we have for him out there right now is Tim Hardaway Jr., and I think if the Warriors got a Tim Hardaway Jr. type of player here in the second round, then I'm all over it. I mean, the numbers don't lie, man. This guy can fill up the stat sheet. Not only did he do it at North Florida, but he did it in the SEC last year, the best conference in college basketball. Look, he's not a good defender by any means, but you're not going to get elite two-way talent at pick 41. You're going to have guys who specialize in one area of their game, and Chaz Lanier is a knockdown shooter. So That's what Golden State is going to be looking for, in my opinion, when they get to their pick at 41. They just clearly did not have enough shooting last year in the lineup when it came to the postseason. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Chaz can do as a shooter in this league. And if it's with Golden State, it lands in no better position than playing next to Wardell, Stephen Curry. Moving on to our next draft target here for the Warriors, Kobe Sanders, the shooting guard out of Nevada, the Wolfpack. Listen, this is a player who is kind of rising up a lot of people's draft boards in that second round there. So, look, if he's there at 41, I'm in on it. But I'm not so sure that he's exactly going to be there because he's 6'7". He can shoot. Like, he gets to the free throw line. Like, he is a true point guard in a way, I think. But he has that two-guard size to his game. He runs the pick and roll like a lot. So this is going to be a ball handler here for Golden State. And when you're running Steph kind of off of the ball, and I'm not so sure that I'm all that confident in Brandon Podziemski really being a point guard, like an initiator, like a pick and roll ball handler to make the right decisions in the in-between. This is a guy who can absolutely do that. He does not turn the ball over, even though he plays a ton and has the ball in his hands a whole heck of a lot. He's got a 2.4 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's really, really good. Look, not a three-point shooter like that great. He shot 34% last year. And only a +1 wingspan on a player who's 6'7" is not exactly great. Got some questions defensively, but a player that he's being compared to by the people here at Chat Sports. How about Warriors legend Sean Livingston? Warriors legend Sean Livingston, the best mid-range assassin that I've ever seen in my life, but was really a pick and roll guy, like a guy who Golden State fans could feel comfortable with the ball in his hands, not going to turn the ball over, going to make the smart reads, and be a guy who just doesn't make bad decisions on this Golden State team. They need more of those type of players because I think too often during this playoff run for the Dubs, they had guys just trying to play beyond their means and playing in a way that got them in trouble a lot of times. Pods with a heck of a lot of turnovers. You had Buddy Hield with a heck of a lot of turnovers. When the ball was in his hands, it was kind of a disaster. You also got a guy like, Jonathan Kuminga having his mishaps with the ball in his hand as well. He could fill up the stat sheet, no doubt about it. Averaged 5 assists last year, and doing that in the Mountain West is not exactly easy to do. He got it done, man, and I think that this is a player who can actually progress as an outside shooter while having a lot of other traits that are really, really valuable to a team like Golden State. We got one more prospect to come over here for a Warriors draft target in round 2, but get hooked up with this fresh 4th of July gear with the Warriors logo on it, with the American flag behind it. That's tough. If you're going to be cooking out dogs on the 4th with all the fam and the friends, then you're going to be wanting to talk some Warriors basketball as well. And easy conversation started when you get the Warriors logo right on your chest. And you can get it right here at this link, chatsports.com/dubs4th. Chatsports.com/dubs4th. I put that link in the comment section and description of today's video to make it easy for you guys. Go get yourself some fresh Dubs 4th of July gear today. All right, last pick coming up here is going to be Micah Peavy, the little swingman out of Georgetown, played previously over in TCU. Look, Peavy took a big leap this year as a shooter, shot at a 40% clip on 4 attempts a game, which is something that he had never done previously in his career, playing at TCU and then transferring over back to the into the Big East, playing with Ed Cooley, kind of unlocked him as an offensive player. And look, he's an older player here, nearly 24 years old, but he projects as a solid NBA frame. He's 6'6", 220, 6'7" wingspan. He averaged 17 points a game last year, 6 boards. He gets downhill for sure, can get to the rim as 42% of his shots came at the rim and shot 57%, so pretty solid there. He's got a little bit of a slow jumper, though, which is I think he's going to need to be one of those guys who's sitting in the corner or on the wing wide open in order to get some efficient three-point looks up there. He's not going to go out there and create his own jump shot from the beyond the arc. But he does get a lot of lift on his pull-up mid-range jumpers. If in the in-between game, he can get those buckets. He was in the 90th percentile in mid-range jumpers made. I also went like I said, he went from 2.6 attempts from three-point range in his junior season at TCU all the way to 4.1 attempts on 40% shooting from his 4th to 5th year in college. He's got he can create transition opportunities as well. He's got quick hands. He gets out in space, and I know the Golden State Warriors, ever since trading for Jimmy Butler, have wanted to be a team that gets out in space and gets easy baskets. That's kind of Butler's MO at this point. Not exactly the best half-court scorer anymore in his at this point in his career. So they want to get out there and run and create turnovers. And I think Micah Peavy can do just that. But as far as being a disruptor on that end, I'm not so sure that Peavy is the best suited for it, as he kind of has that kind of neutral wingspan. It's not super positive. So that kind of limits him as a defensive disruptor at the next level. He's really old, so like I like it for Golden State as a player who can contribute right away. But limited upside there. He's not going to get much better than what you see him at right now. He's not a good free throw shooter, which is kind of surprising as a guy who shot 40% from long range last year. He also turned the ball over a ton as well. The comp for him was a Josh Okogie comparison, and we'll see if Golden State ends up taking any of these 5 guys we talked about on today's show. Who is your number 1 Warriors draft target at pick 41 for tomorrow? Is it something that we talked about on today's video? Is it something that we have not mentioned yet?
The Golden State Warriors are expected to be active in the search for a center this offseason, and one surprising name has surfaced as a potential target: Ben Simmons. According to NBC Sports Bay Area's Monty Poole, Simmons could be among the options the Warriors explore when free agency opens on June 30th. Simmons, 28, split the 2024-25 season between the Brooklyn Nets and Los Angeles Clippers. He averaged 5.0 points, 5.6 assists, and 4.7 rebounds in 22 minutes per game across 51 appearances while shooting 52% from the field. The 6'10", 240-pound forward entered the league as a point guard in 2016 but has recently shifted into a center role. He might be the league's worst finisher at the rim. Just awful, Poole wrote. But hear me out. He's 6'10", 240 pounds, still has some of his once stunning athleticism, and remains a strong, switchable defender. He entered the NBA in 2016 as a point guard, but has transitioned to center, finishing last season as a backup to Ivica Zubac with the Clippers. If Simmons aches for a redemption season, he could be a good value. The Warriors are looking to retool around their new trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green following their second-round playoff exit to the Minnesota Timberwolves in May. Frontcourt depth remains a key area of focus heading into the offseason. Poole also mentioned Clint Capela and Brook Lopez as potential free agent options. Capela, 31, played 55 games for the Atlanta Hawks during the 2024-25 season, averaging 8.9 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 1.0 blocks per game in 21.4 minutes. His lowest playing time since 2015-16. The 6'10", 240-pound veteran remains a reliable rim protector and rebounder. And you, fan, what do you think about Ben Simmons' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.